What a doozy of an article put in the Kansas City Star from Congressman Emmanuel Cleaver. You are all a bunch of racists. You just don't even know it. Headline from Emmanuel Cleaver. The third, I will add. Emmanuel Cleaver the third writes this special to the Kansas City Star. Here we go. You ready? Okay. Donald Trump's reelection was a message all too loud and clear to African Americans. That opinion piece from Emmanuel Cleaver III. Here we go. Of course, the senior pastor of St. James United Methodist Church, the son of Congressman Emmanuel Cleaver. The results of the November 5th election revealed that the United States still has an unresolved issue with race. The exit polls clearly showed that VP Kamala Harris received the most African-American votes at 85%, and Donald Trump captured the majority of white America's votes at 57%. The nation must come to accept that even after 160 years following the Civil War, race continues to be a problem. He writes here, many voters will declare that race played no role in their decision and that the economy and the border crisis were the two big issues. Even if that were the case, I truly don't believe that it was, writes Cleaver. It still shows that black and white Americans are not on the same page. Why do I say that? Because white Americans primarily voted for Trump and black Americans voted predominantly for Harris. So let's stop right there after a couple of paragraphs of nonsense from Emmanuel Cleaver III and say, well, I don't really care what Emmanuel Cleaver III believes because guess what? The facts don't back him up. He basically says, despite people saying that they voted based on the economy, they voted based on the border crisis, he doesn't believe it because he doesn't want to believe it. Because when you want to be Al Sharpton Jr., you can't believe those pesky things called facts.
Show some.
You can't believe it. So I'm trying to get my Al Sharpton drop to work here, and it's still not working. So let's get that reset when you can. I can't do a show without the Al Sharpton drop. Can't do it. There's no way the Al Sharpton drop cannot work on the show. Come on.
Show some RESPICT.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much. The show cannot go on until the Al Sharpton drop is fixed.
Now, I do like the news sound because it kind of sounded like a clown car coming. So maybe it still can be useful.
It might be useful. It just hurts my ears in my headphones.
Oh, that's true.
That's the
bad.
problem. So before we go any further with Emmanuel Cleaver's article here, let's go to this from the Associated Press. And let's look at some of the data. Trump gained a larger share of black and Latino voters than he did in 2020. Most notably among men under the age of 45. About 3 in 10 black men under the age of 45 went for Trump, roughly double the share he got 4 years ago. Young Latinos, particularly young Latino men, also more open to Trump. Half of them voted for Harris, but Joe Biden got 6 out of 10 4 years prior. While about 4 in 10 young voters under 45 across racial and ethnic groups identified the economy as the top issue facing the country, older white and Latino voters also were likely to cite immigration. So, yeah, immigration issues and the economy were the top drivers, per the voters themselves, of all racial groups. And Emmanuel Cleaver III is here to tell you in the opinion column of the Kansas City Star that that's not true because, well, he doesn't want to believe it. He goes on the right to ignore the stark differences in voting preferences would be like a husband ignoring his wife when she says there's a problem in the marriage. If one half of the couple says there's a problem, it doesn't matter whether the other half disagrees. The hardcore truth is there is a problem. He writes, by and large, African Americans believed Harris was the clear choice for president. The fact that most white voters disagreed highlights that we view things differently. In addition, black people have other concerns that many white people take for granted. Unbiased policing, mass incarceration, and economic inequality are major concerns. And they aren't necessarily topics that resonate with white folk, he writes here.
white folk.
Yes.
I object.
I'm just reading the words in the article here. That's all I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. I'm offended.
No, I know. I understand. Me too. But I'll get over it. So explain this. Explain the movement of Jewish Americans, Asian Americans to the right. Explain that. Latinos, we've talked extensively about. Literally every demographic, including black Americans, shifting to the right by some margin. Okay, still, as you know, it's 85%, but still, why is there a shift away? Does Emmanuel Cleaver want to do any self-reflection or just continue to call everybody a racist? I mean, I know that the race hustling grift pays well, especially when you've got a prominent last name, but it's not based in reality. I know that much. Sherry, you're on KCMO, first up this morning. Go ahead, Sherry.
Hey, good morning. Those charts and those stats that you've just quoted from the Emmanuel Cleaver and the gal a minute ago could actually be flip the script and use those to support the fact that blacks are racist because they voted 85% for Kamala instead of the white person. So that number is even higher than the whites that voted for Trump.
Well, that's an interesting point, Sherry. I mean,
and then one other thing, the fact that we want the progressive liberals to change their rhetoric to talk to me, that ship sailed.
Yeah.
Your beliefs and your policies aren't going to change. So don't sweet talk me now. I'm not going to hear you. Don't fake it with me and be all nice that you're accepting me now because you're not. So it's too late.
Thank you, Sherry. You know, it's an interesting point to make. If you're going to say that white America is racist because it voted for Donald Trump, well, white America voted for Donald Trump 57%. So if African Americans voted for Kamala Harris 85%, are they racist too? Or can only white people be racist? See, in the DEI world, only white people can be racist, which is why Sherry, who brings up a very good question and a very good point, would be slapped down by the DEI crowd because only white people can inherently be racist. Nobody else can, which is why you can't use that data and say, well, if your justification for voting for Donald Trump by white people is that he's white and that's racist, then why is it not racist on the other end if you're only voting for somebody allegedly based on their skin color? And the answer is, well, only whitey is racist. That's it.
Yep.
That's the only conclusion to come to, John.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
That's it.
Well, there's another thing at play here that I noticed with Sonny Host and Janet Jackson Jr. and I guess Emmanuel Cleaver Jr. here. In this case.
Jr.
Right. They'd like to say, well, no, this is my reality, as if that cancels out your reality.
Yes.
No. Two things can be true at once, right? It's not a case of one or the other, and they like to shut down all arguments by saying, well, this is what I see. This is what I live. You don't live what I live.
Yes.
No, you don't live what I live.
Exactly right.
Touche.
And you know what else is brought up here in this Emmanuel Cleaver article? As many of you are pointing out on the text line, Pete, this country voted for Barack Obama twice. No, I know that was supposed to be the end. That was supposed to lead us into a post-racial America. But now what they do is they say, well, it's because Kamala Harris was not only black, but a woman of color. A woman. That's the key now. That's why they've got to go down the road of not just racism, but also misogyny. And that is something that Emmanuel Cleaver also notes here. He says, many people refuse to vote for Harris simply because she's a woman. What is that based on? Just like him going to bed at night, staring at the ceiling and being like, man, like what is that? What is that data based? What is that sentence based on? You know, I know people who have written articles for the Kansas City Star and they've written opinion pieces and the editor just lambasts them. You can't put this in there. This isn't based in fact. But I guess if you're Emmanuel Cleaver III, you can write whatever the hell you want. And the editors at the Kansas City Star just look the other way. How do you put that sentence in there? Many people refuse to vote for Harris simply because she is a woman. Well, guess what? Kamala Harris lost to Donald Trump by 3 million votes. Hillary Clinton beat Donald Trump in the popular vote. She also happened to be a woman. So what does that say? That says that America is more complex and America is filled with people who vote on issues that have nothing to do with race and nothing to do with gender. But for those who obsess over it and it's usually those on the left, well, that doesn't fit their nice, clean narrative that they continue to pursue ad nauseum, and they are continuing to do it in the wake of what happened 2 days ago. And this is just another reason where if you're going to sit here and spend a lot of money on this paper, I mean, what are you wasting your time and money on? My goodness.